Truly, the most amazing thing about artwork is that you get to tell an entire story without ever saying a word. And that is what I love so much about pyrography. And my goal in the heart of Africa is to woodburn a scene and show the beauty of Africa as two elephants come together on a shore. So join me as I dive into this piece. So up to this point, this was my hardest woodburning to create, and that had a lot to do with just how big this piece was. It ended up being a 3-panel piece, and each panel being about 21 inches by 15.5 inches. So when you place that on a wall, it's about 2 feet by 4 feet. Since I had so much wood to cover in my burning, it really was a challenge for me in trying to create this piece accurately and to create all that detail into the wood. In order to give myself something to work from, I actually started off with the middle panel. As you can see, I'm woodburning the two elephants who are facing each other, and then I'll go from there and woodburn the right panel and left panel. To create a good woodburning, like a top-notch woodburning, it really involves a lot of building of layers. So it means turning the heat on cold, burning it, turning the heat up slightly, burning it again, and you keep doing that until you get the depth and the correct look that you're going for. So in this woodburning, I'm trying to get that leathery look of the elephants with the folds in the skin. For those of you who don't know me, I'm actually a pretty detailed person. So in all my wood burnings, and especially on this wood burning, I want to make sure every little detail is correct. For example, I want to make sure the shadow between the two elephants' trunks is perfect. Even little things like the difference in the leather look in the ears compared to the leather look in the body with all the folds of the skin, I want to make sure those are distinctly different. So another little detail you might not notice was I was actually trying to get the correct look on the legs as far as the mud. So I wanted it to be subtle, but there to be a distinct difference between where there was mud on the legs and where there wasn't. So it's little details like that I'm adding to the wood burning that not everyone can tell when they first look at it, but I'm intentionally putting into the piece. Now that I'm finally done with the elephants, I'm going ahead and wood burning the land they're standing on. Now, again, the big challenge of this was just how much wood I'm having to burn. And so just doing that with such a small tip. I'm actually wood burning with like a 1/4 of an inch tip. It was a really small tip. And so trying to cover so much ground in my burning was really, really hard. One of the things I'm going to end up doing with this piece, once it's done, is actually come back and add watercolor to the entire thing. So one of the things I'll add watercolor is these blurred out branches in the very front of the piece. Understand, when you wood burn, you're actually closing off the pores of the wood, which isn't ideal when you're trying to add watercolor. So that's why I'm adding those gaps that'll allow me to add the paint in later. I'm finally done with wood burning the land. Now my goal is to wood burn these branches that are going to protrude out of the water, and the water will be painted in later with that watercolor. Once the branches are done, then I also would burn this little strip of land that's in the background, and I will be done the middle piece for now. The next thing to do was wood burn the right panel. This panel had substantially less wood burning than the other two panels, so I ended up wood burning the land and a little bit of a tree trunk, and then later I'll come back and finish the panel with watercolor. Random fact of the day is that I actually grew up in Africa. I grew up in Zambia, in the city of Kitwe, which is the second largest city of Zambia. Now, Kitwe is a mining city for copper. Some of the biggest copper mines of the world are actually around the Kitwe area. Saying that, I did often get to see African wildlife. Obviously I had to drive outside the city an hour or two to be able to see any wildlife, but it was something that I got to enjoy. So, one of the very stereotyped things that I got to do was ride an elephant out on a safari. It was pretty cool. Can't get much better than doing that. So I really enjoyed growing up in Africa. It's definitely my home. It's definitely a place I'd like to go back to one day. At this point, my hand is killing me. Am I allowed to say that? Well, I'm saying it. My hand is killing me. There's so much wood to cover. There's so much burning to do. It probably doesn't help as well. I was rushed in trying to create this piece for an art show. It was just so much wood to cover, and the end result is definitely worth all the time spent in this piece. I think it was like 40 hours to create this piece. It was definitely worth it, but in the end, my hand almost fell off. Now with the first 2 panels wood burned, it's time to work on the left panel. The only thing I can really say about this panel that was a little bit of a challenge was the grass. I have a hard time getting that correct look of grass in my wood burning, but this turned out pretty well, and I'm happy with it. So one reason I really loved this wood burning is because it was based off a picture my dad took back in the 90s. And he took this picture, and it really is a representation of so many moments in Africa that we never get to see. And so I really wanted to show the beauty of Africa in this wood burning and in this picture that he took. Since this piece of artwork is a 3-panel piece, I have to make sure the entire artwork is uniform. As you can see, I'm actually placing the 2 panels next to each other to make sure that they go together when they're on the wall. There's 2 reasons why I didn't actually put all 3 panels together. First, I'm trying to film it for you guys, and second, this piece was so big, I couldn't place all 3 panels together on the same table. It was obviously a unique challenge, and I kind of worked around it by just placing 2 panels together at a time. Now I'm on to the final step of adding watercolor to the piece. I really just like adding a little bit of color because it just draws out the wood burning so nicely. As you can see in this piece, the elephants and the land, it all just kind of pops with that little bit of paint. I know I'm not alone when I say elephants are probably my favorite animals, and so obviously I create a lot of wood burnings with elephants. They really are such beautiful creatures, and I just want to show that beauty in my artwork and allow people to enjoy them, enjoy elephants. Guys, that is all it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching me create this wood burning, and make sure to hit a like, comment, and comment what you liked most about this piece. We'll see you next time.